The most cutting comment Kamala Harris made at an otherwise forgettable 2020 debate with then Vice President Mike Pence sums up the most recent development in her conflict with Donald Trump. The Republican nominee has said more than enough to most Democrats. However, Harris wants to give him the freedom to say exactly what he wants, when he wants, during their September 10 scheduled debate matchup on ABC News. A rule that made sure that candidates' microphones were muted when it wasn't their turn to speak was something that President Joe Biden's campaign obtained for their pivotal debate with Trump in June, and which the vice president's camp is attempting to undo. The limitation was perceived as an effort to avoid a recurrence of Trump's incessant disruptions during their 2020 debates, which prompted Biden to once again threaten, "Will you shut up, man?" It's clear that the Harris campaign wants to offer Trump the opportunity to undermine himself by interjecting offensive remarks or displaying his domineering demeanor. Trump's team is resisting, despite the fact that the former president discredited his own group on Monday by claiming he would be content to lose the mute button. The altercation highlights the debate's enormous potential significance in shaping the campaign's narrative in the aftermath of the most significant presidential debate in history, which took place on CNN in late June and eliminated Joe Biden from the contest. It's crucial for Trump in particular, as he has had difficulty adjusting to his new opponent since Biden's resignation, a man the Republicans were certain they would defeat in November. The meeting might be his best opportunity to counter Harris's momentum following her convention in Chicago, particularly because he and his team think she is unprepared for the demands of fielding follow-up questions and policy inquiries from a rival as ferocious as Trump. Trump must engage in discourse. Republican political commentator Scott Jennings of CNN stated, "Harris needs to debate. They both have a point to make." Another illustration of how Harris has changed the race was the acrimonious exchanges between the campaigns on Monday. Her group is growing more and more relishing the opportunity to prank Trump, the ultimate political prankster. To suggest he could withdraw from the debate, it, for example, created an online video with footage of the former president and the sound of a clucking chicken. Additionally, Harris's aides implied that Trump's handlers had not dared to confront their boss in front of the microphone. Trump's difficulties could be captured on an open mic. In a debate with Harris, an open mic would put the Republican nominee's self-control to the test at a time when GOP strategists are begging him to stay on topic and give up his bombastic tactics for the sake of his campaign. Images of Trump brazenly insulting and talking over the woman who has the potential to become the first Black woman president speak for themselves. In the Pence debate, Harris would also have the opportunity to show her will to oppose Trump by delivering her well-known jab. Trump's antics, which appear to be misogynistic or to have racial connotations, may drive away suburban, female, and minority voters, all of whom could be crucial in swing states in November. Images of Trump acting loudly would reinforce the larger campaign theme that Harris emphasized last week at the Democratic convention, that Americans have a fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past. Ian Sams, a spokesman for the Harris campaign, told CNN's Alex Marquardt, "The vice president wants the American people to see an unfettered Donald Trump, because that's what we are going to get if he becomes president again. I believe it is crucial that the American people witness the decision between the two candidates on stage during this election and right now. For the vice president, daring Trump to interrupt during an open mic would not be without risk." The former president interrupted Democratic contender Hillary Clinton's responses and talked over her several times in 2016. Even though the Republican nominee found it offensive at the time, he still managed to win the election. Political analyst Maria Cardona of CNN offered yet another explanation for Harris's possible desire for an open mic. Cardona, a Democrat, stated, "She will be able to control both what she says and fact-check him on the spot, because the microphones are not muted." Harris's 2020 major viral event. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Harris and Pence debated behind closed doors. Harris raised her hand and interrupted the effort to interrupt her by stating, "Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. The remark gave Harris the idea that Pence was mansplaining to her, and it felt like a scripted scene that candidates rehearse for